just want to talk about and ask you questions about the lesson that I'll be observing tomorrow. So why don't you briefly describe the students in your class, including any students with special needs?
Yes. Well, starting off, I have 2 students with diagnosed ADHD. Both of them are on medication, and they also see counseling for it. They've, greatly improved since starting the meds, and I can definitely see a difference in everything. I have 4 ELLs. One came to the United States at the beginning of the year speaking Danish, and now she's speaking complete English. I have others that are from Asian countries, all a different language. I have 2 homeless students in my classroom, which affects their emotional stability. Sometimes if they come in and it was a rough night at home or they didn't get any sleep at wherever they were that night, it makes a difference in how they're able to perform and their behavior at school. So that's a big factor. I have about 5 higher level students in reading, and I think that about covers it for.
Okay. And how many students total in your class?
In this class for reading is going to be 22.
22.
I have 26 total, but the 4 SPED are not going to be in this lesson.
Okay, great. So will this lesson be new ideas or will it tie into prior knowledge?
It will definitely tie into prior knowledge. We have done a whole group reading unit. We started on Monday, and we are reading the book, Just Going to the Dentist, and it's a little critter book. And it allows students to make connections to their real lives of going to the dentist. We've been working on it all week. Monday we started off by making predictions and confirming our predictions.
Okay.
Today we worked on retelling and summarizing the story. And tomorrow the lesson will be on, they're going to be doing writing activities for how they connect to the story. And we are really going to work on writing mechanics.
So what do you plan on the students knowing or being able to do at the end of the lesson?
At the end of the lesson, they should be able to describe how they are connected, or maybe they don't connect to the story. I do have a few students who have not gone to the dentist. So they're just using writing mechanics to practice writing and describing their connection to the story, and it also improves their reading comprehension if they're making connections as they're listening to a story or reading a story.
And how will the students know what they will be learning?
They will know because I will be modeling the writing mechanics and just to guide them through what they're supposed to be doing. They have done activities similar to this in other units, so they know their expectations of what I expect. I do differentiate according to their levels if I expect how many sentences they are to write. They're also supposed to state their connection and then describe why. It's a connection to just give reasoning and provide further explanations for their connection.
So what will engagement look like for all participants?
Well, we start out at the carpet area, and tomorrow we'll probably just do a quick read-through. We've really dissected the book already, so tomorrow we'll just do a brush up on the story. And they're always very engaged with read-alouds because I use different voices for point of view, and it just really engages them. We're then going to switch to the smartboard. We just turn around, and I will model the activity to give them an idea or to discuss their connections. I also model writing mechanics through that as well. And then they move to their desks, which is arranged in groups, so they're engaged. They quietly talk amongst each other about their they do an illustration, and then they do their writing activity. So it's kind of nice for them to compare their experiences with their partners or their group members.
So what kind of data collection do you think would be most useful during this activity or prior to this lesson or after this lesson?
What would probably be easiest, after the lesson I would collect their writing mechanics and their connections paperwork, and I think it would honestly be easiest. Did they meet the objective, yes or no? give them a plus sign if they were able to describe their connections, give them a plus sign if they also had the correct writing mechanics, because that's kind of what the the two biggest objectives of the lesson are. I would probably use a checklist.
Okay. And you kind of talked about the smart board. Is that the only technology resource you'll be using?
Well, I'll be using the Elmo
The Elmo, okay.
to project my activity onto, it's actually a Promethean board, but I say smart board because the Promethean is too long when you say it 1,000 times a day.
Okay. So what hurdles or difficulties do you anticipate taking place during this lesson, if any, and how might you address those?
The read aloud discussion always goes very smoothly. They're very engaged, and they love to participate and discuss what they are learning about. What kind of gets difficult for a few students is tackling the writing. Some of them just get intimidated when they are expected to write. One of them being one of my homeless students, and another one is a behavior student that they kind of shut down when they are expected to write. And sometimes I have to just sit with them and walk them through it. If they begin to struggle at all, they begin to shut down and just want to stop, and you might see one of them break down and cry and need to come sit in the cool down chair. Or they might completely do it all. It just kind of depends on how their day is going. So that is one difficulty that is you have to be flexible for it.
Okay. So you kind of touched on this with the cool down spot, but what types of management techniques will you use during this lesson?
At the carpet, we do have assigned seating.
Okay.
I have 2 behavior students. They sit behind the students in desks. It just keeps them from keeping their hands to themselves, and it also helps them be more engaged if they are, they are sitting up and they're looking at me compared to sitting somewhere else. I also have lines on the carpet area. I'll say, okay, white line, go do this, or red line, go do this. So it's nice for management and just keeping things in order. I also have just different sayings that we do: hocus pocus, everyone focus, eyes on me, eyes on you, or I say salami sometimes, which means stop and look at me.
Okay.
I use those all the time, especially in first grade atmosphere when it can get sometimes chatty. I also, for management techniques, like to do thumbs up or thumbs down. It's also kind of an assessment strategy just to make sure they're listening. If they are expected to give me hand signals, that can tell me that they're paying attention and know what to do.
So is there anything you specifically want me to look for during my observation?
How I respond to students that are struggling particularly, sometimes if a student is just having a horrible day and it's just not going to happen, sometimes to me it's not worth a battle when I have 22 other students to take care of and help and assist. So sometimes I just let them cool down and they lose 5 minutes of recess for not completing it. But how I respond and react to a student if they get frustrated, that's one way.
Okay.
Another way, I've already asked a lot of higher order questions in the lessons previous to this one, but it's always important to continue that even throughout today or tomorrow's lesson. So higher order questions, and if they're able to explain their thinking.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I look forward to observing your lesson tomorrow.
I hope it goes well.
I'm sure it will.